from the atoms to the organism?
One person has to do it.
I stood up, no?
We will help you.
Great.
Right. So DNA, then we have cells. Cells, tissue, organism. So we're moving into here, and this is where this is where life happens.
Yes.
DNA and cells.
Exactly. Good, 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 good. So who is going to draw the procedure between this DNA and cells? The things which we explained yesterday? At least how much ever you... No, he is not going.
I just draw the DNA.
Yeah?
Here are two. And yeah. This is what I did not understand.
Okay.
Is RNA the translation of this
Okay.
or this?
Okay.
This is already the mix of these two.
Okay. So,
Like it's something like this?
okay. Draw. Okay.
Yeah, I see that it's wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So RNA is not like, is the complementary to this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, RNA is a complementary.
Okay, so we have two strands.
Okay, so.
Okay, so basically what we carry as information is just one strand, and the other one is just complementary so that it should not react to. So this has no role basically.
Oh.
The second strand has no role. The first strand has the role. Okay, so second strand is just for, it should not bind to itself. For example, if this sequence is going on, what will happen if it is just single strand existing? This A in any of this strand, if it see T, it can coil by itself. Don't you think so? You didn't understand.
Yeah, it's like magnetism. Like it would do something like this. Or
Yes, for
A,
example,
A2,
exactly.
T.
If it is single strand A, T, C, G, and there is no complementary to bind to it, what happens? This A may bind to the T itself. It may coil. Did you understand? No, right? Salome, you're not here.
She's very talented.
You're not here. Did you understand what happens if the strand exists single, if they don't have a complementary strand?
Then it will copy itself.
No, that is not what I am speaking.
It will like.
What will happen if it is, if in the cell it exists single stranded, if it do not has the second strand? Do you understand? Do you understand the question?
The A would stick to
No,
the T. And
no,
then
you don't understand the question. It is double stranded, right? Double lines.
You see?
If it is single, what will happen? That is the question. If it exists only the single form, only one strand. Sorry?
What do you mean what will happen?
What will happen to the DNA?
Yeah, it would be stuck to
Itself. A is always binding to T, so it will bind, A will bind something existing in this strand of T.
Then you will have no functional.
No, then everything will collapse. Everything bind within itself. That's why nature has created the second strand, so there will not be any mess. But it has no role other than not making it a mess.
Okay.
So this has no role. So once it is coded and replicated, this will go off.
Yeah.
This has no role, so this will go off. But this one is the only thing which has role, which is again and again used for the coding. Did you get it now?
Yes.
Okay, so mRNA is only getting complement from a single strand. So you don't have to consider this strand at all. Now, this is the sequence you have. You are going to create exactly complementary mRNA to it. So AT, but T is replaced. So it will be U. Yeah, so wherever you have to write T, instead of that, you will be writing U. Yeah, exactly. Now you get it? Any doubts? Did you understand? It's very simple to understand. Only you have to concentrate. You have to, once you are understood the concept, there is no confusion in it. Yeah. Then mRNA. If I'll reduce this portion also, no, I'm telling you in a month you will gain nothing. So make use of it. Yeah, it's right.
It takes 3 of them.
As a?
Makes,
Exactly.
amino acid.
Ah. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sorry? That is translation. When it makes, when this one, this is replication, single strand.
Yeah,
Then mRNA is transcription. Then amino acids are translations. Clear? Very nice. You finished it. Clap. And tissue. Clear? So, we have 2 types of cells. Plant cells and animal cells. Okay? Plant cells and animal cells. So, anything we see in the nature has a quality. What is that quality? Anything very big we cannot see. Anything very small we cannot see. We have the limitation of the eyes. For example, the universe. We have a sun here, we have planets around, right? We cannot see. The same structure is reflected in an atom. Atom. What is that? Nucleus, electrons around. Right? Both are same. If you see the concept, this is sun, this is planet in the orbital movement. This is atom, this is nucleus, electrons in the orbital manner. Nucleus, sun, planets. Right? So why am I explaining this? Anything we have in the minute level, the smallest unit of life is cell. The biggest is organism, right? We end up being an organism. Every functioning what an organism has, the same cells has. Clear? We eat, cells eat. We eliminate, cells eliminate. We reproduce, cells reproduce. We have a respiration process, cells have a respiration process. We have any process in the body, the conducting, the energy transformation, any mechanism we have in our body, the cells also have. So the organisms have organs, right? Organisms has organs, right? What are organs?
Tissues that
Function together for specific thing. So, like that, cell has organelles. Okay? We have organs, cells has organelles. Clear? So, yesterday I have drawn a structure of a cell, right? This is what? This is a cell. This one? Nucleus. This is a nucleus. Good. The nucleus contains DNA in it. I have drawn it yesterday, right? You remember? Yeah. So this is called as nucleus. So the cell has a membrane called as plasma membrane. Plasma membrane. You don't have to write the body, you can get it in Google. You just have to listen what are the functioning of it. The cell has a plasma membrane, the nucleus has a nuclear membrane. Okay, always it is separated from the membranes. Now, It has something called as mitochondria. Mitochondria's function is you have a liver which generates energy or which breaks out things. The mitochondria does the same thing. It is called as powerhouse of the cell. It takes the energy, breaks it into carbon hydrogen with the help of oxygen radicals. Clear? Our liver does the same thing. It has a nucleus which carries all the information. We have the brain. The brain is the nucleus in them. It carries everything. We have a blood circulation. This has a cytoplasm. Everything is a liquid. Everything is a liquid. It is called a cytoplasm. Clear? Like that. It has endoplasmic reticulum. You don't have to, you can get this in Google. Endoplasmic reticulum. Like the body, our body stores the muscles and everything makes the protein. In the same way, this endoplasmic reticulum helps them to make the protein sorting out. So, this endoplasmic reticulum, if you see, it is touching the nucleus. Why it is touching the nucleus?
To get the DNA.
Exactly. So, DNA, inside this, it becomes RNA. Inside the nucleus, it becomes RNA. Clear? This RNA is transformed to the endoplasmic reticulum. In the endoplasmic reticulum, this RNA is translated into the proteins. And this proteins comes out of the endoplasmic reticulum to the cells. Clear? What did I say, Salome? Can you please repeat the whole process? Leave the endoplasmic reticulum. You don't have to pronounce it. You can just tell, normally we say it as ER. Yeah. Is going to transfer. I think you people are very much tired. What can we do? Vacuoles. Like we have elimination in the body, the things get broken up. So in the same way, the vacuoles carries the waste thing, breaks it into and throws out of the body.
Passes outside.
Yes, exactly. So whatever gets inside, the whole process happens, it breaks down and then there will be a space created like this, everything will be thrown out. So this is how elimination happens in the cell. Only this much is needed for cell right now. Clear? So there is a difference between plant cell and animal cell. The only difference is we have a cell wall in the plant which we call it cellulose, which is not digestible by the body. This is in the outer layer of the cell.
How do we mean plant cell or animal cell?
Yes?
Do we have, what are our cells?
Ours are animals. Any animals has animal.
Okay.
And any plants has plant cells.
And if
Cells combines with lot of cells makes the tissue. Different types of cells, like for example, the same cells cannot work in the same place. For example, our neuron cell cannot work in my eyes. Functioning difference. My muscle cells cannot work in my blood cells because in my blood cell there must be something which carries oxygen. But in my neurons, it is completely electricity. You know, blood cannot cross the brain. You know it, right? So our blood cannot touch our neurons. Why? Because neurons completely works on minerals. There are a lot of sodium, potassium, and the blood contains all the minerals in it. Once the minerals gets into, all the system collapse. The functioning, the pathway, the messages, everything collapse. So what do we have there? We have there blood-brain barrier. BBB. It is called as blood-brain barrier. Clear? we have a separation from our blood vascular system to the brain with the help of blood-brain barrier. Why? Because the blood should not enter into the brain. Clear? Blood should not enter into the brain. In some cases, when the blood has to enter, in some cases the vessels break and it can cross through this, then it is called as stroke. Clear?
Clear, very clear.
In some cases, when our vessels, blood vessels burst out, it causes stroke. Can you give me some examples where we get some strokes? Yeah? Okay. Example, what is the...
If you have plaque building up in an artery,
Exactly.
it can like go into your brain.
Exactly. So what happens exactly? When it is a clot, some clot or coagulation happens in the blood, normal. It creates that much pressure, it just bursts out from that part. So blood cannot flow anywhere, it crosses. Clear? Second, you have heard about the problem called as hypertension, BP, blood pressure high. When something pressure in the arteries increases, this arteries again burst out.
It means the pressure increases, it's more fast.
Yes, pressure increases, it should go fast. That is what happens in the hypertension. But pressure extremely, then the pipeline can bear it. It bursts. Pipeline are the arteries, right? Something you are pressuring, but the pipeline cannot bear it, it bursts out. It has a limit, no? Yeah. So when it bursts, the blood do not know where to go. It just bursts out and it causes a lot of problems. And hypertension, especially because I said this is blood-brain barrier, what happens? The blood vessels which we have here, small capillaries, it is easy to burst out because there is an exchange which is very minute. You have heard people getting stroke while doing Shirshasana?
Doing what?
Headstand? Headstand.
Oh, headstand, yeah.
Yeah. After a certain age, if they are not a good practitioner in yoga, people get this stroke. Have you heard?
No.
Huh.
Now I will be afraid to make it.
So there is a carotid artery which is supplying to your brain and face from this part of the body. And when you go upside down, what happens? This gets whole pressure down towards the gravity, which we are normally not used to because we are always standing, right? So our pressure works towards the gravity. So when we are upside down, it just bursts out. And when it bursts, we get the stroke because it enters to the brain.
So, sorry, with every stroke, this brain thing happens.
Exactly. Every stroke, the blade,
How to worry this?
no, nowhere in the body it is called a stroke. But when it is happening into the brain, it is called a stroke. Because anywhere in the body it happens, the blood flow will be only there. But when it happens to the brain stops working.
Yes, but so if the headstand, it was not in the brain, it was somewhere here, you said.
Yeah.
But then the effect is in the brain.
Because this is the supply to the brain, right? So it may affect the brain or
But maybe also not.
sometimes may not. If it is affecting the brain, it is called a stroke. If it is not affecting the brain, it is called as just blood vessels bursting. Because there is a reason, there are a lot of cells, there are a lot of mechanism behind it, because there are a lot of cells in the brain which protects the cell, brain itself, like immunologically, they are called as astrocytes. We are not getting into it. That is why we get stroke there. There is a whole reason for it. So, yeah. So, we have different types of cells. So, first cell, can you mention one? Name of some cells? Very good. That is called as epithelial cells, skin cells, or any kind of cells. Then, eyes are, okay, optic cells, but they are also skin cells only. Then, bone cell, osteo, okay, osteo, but they comes under specific types of cells. Then, Yes. Muscle cell. That is very important. Then neurons. Very good. Then blood cells, right? Then think about it.
Nerves.
Nerves, yeah, nerves are neurons. Yeah, nervous cells we can say. Cardiac cells, very good.
It's not what?
Which one? Sorry?
No, brain cells.
Brain cells are the nervous cell. Yeah, then
What's the last one?
this one cardiac, the cells which are present in the heart. Cardiac cells.
Ah, this hair.
Yeah, these are skin cells, which comes again to the epithelial cells.
What about organs like
Yeah,
the liver?
yeah. So they also comes under epithelial cells because they are also skin.
Epi.
Epithelial.
Nerve cell.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. These are the major cells.
Oh, we don't know. Nerve cell?
Nerve cells,
Are neurons.
neurons it can be neurons, it can be other cells which are present in the brain. Nervous cells. So epithelial cells, all the skin cells of the body. Anywhere in the skin, anywhere anything are called as epithelial cells. Any organs, anything. Muscle cells, only the muscles, which has the 4 category, that is contractility, electricity conductivity, elasticity, very nice, and one more is extensions, right? Yeah. Nervous cells, conductivity for the transfer of the message. Blood cells for different purpose. Blood cells, it can be for the protection as an immunological system, then it can be because of the oxygen carrying, it can be waste carrying, because throughout the cells it has to regulate. Then cardiac cells, which has to work 24 hours, no stoppage for it. It stops, yeah.
What is the eye kind of cell?
Eyes are skin cell, epithelial cells,
The
yeah.
eye is skin.
Yes, it is skin.
Not muscle.
No, muscles it has. It has the muscles to protect the iris, for the ball, for the retina. It has muscles. But then the main thing which gives us optics, visualization, that is epithelial skin, the transparent skin.
What about tendons and ligaments?
Tendons and ligaments are where you have connections. If this is ocular,
Which cell are they?
they are again comes to the epithelial cells. Okay, and connectivity. This cells combines together and makes something called as tissues. When you talk about tendons, ligaments, they comes under the tissues then, because there are a lot of group of people, no? So tissues are of 4 main categories. First category is again epithelial tissue. Now second is nervous tissue. Third is connective tissue. Fourth is muscular tissue. Now you can categorize anything in the body. What you can categorize? Yeah. Now anything, entire brain, entire nervous system belongs to the nervous tissue. Entire muscle system belongs to the muscular tissue. Entire skin and all belongs to epithelial tissue. And everything else which belongs to the connection, like blood, bone, ligament, tendon, everything belongs to the connective tissue, which just connects. Clear? Any doubts? Any doubts? So what are tissues? It is a group of cells or mass of cells which perform a specific function for the organism, which makes up organs, right? Tissues are what are mass of cells, lot of cells or cells together, which performs a single function or a particular function. Don't write single, particular function, specific function, which performs specific function and makes the organ system in the organism. Makes the organs in the organism. Clear? Time now.
An organ would be a group of tissues.
Group of tissues which functions a particular thing or a specific thing. Simple, right? Okay. So, now the question is, I spoke about these cells, right? These tissues. Is it the same for animals and plants both?
I don't think plants have muscles.
Yeah. So, it's different for animals and plants. So, these are animal tissues. Only animal cells have. And tissues, okay, now the next question, what do you think about bacteria? Do bacteria have tissues? What do you think?
I think yes.
Hmm?
I think maybe yes.
Okay. You?
Maybe yes, maybe no.
That's a good option. So, do you think bacteria has tissues in them? Okay.
I mean, do bacteria have a group of cells?
Yes. But then also they are functioning not together. So, a bacteria is a single cell unit. So, it is just a single cell. It is called as unicellular. Exactly. So, they don't have tissues. They only have single cell. So, it do not apply for any unicellular organisms. Cells itself, they finish off. They die becoming a cell. Right? Understanding? Yeah?
What about meat-eating plants?
Meat-eating plants? Like,
Flowers.
yeah, I understand. Carnivore plants. But then the question I didn't understand.
It has also a different system, or it has tissue? Like,
Oh, okay. Any plant has the same as plant. Tissues starts from multicellular organism. Any fungus, any plant, any animal has tissues. But tissues are different for plant cells. I am not taking it here because we are only bothered about the animal system. Plants have vascular system. They do not have blood circulation. Have you heard about xylem phloem? Okay, so plant only have this system called as water transportation, right? They don't have to transport anything else. They only transport water system and something called as food which they make out of sunlight. So, they have xylem which takes the water from the down earth, and then they have phloem rotating throughout the body. That is called their vascular system. We have blood cells. So, they have vascular system. They do not have nervous tissue because for us, why do we need nervous system? To sense things, to understand things. They do not have to. But then they sense it through a specific channel called as chemoreceptors. There are chemicals which help them to sense what is, for example, a plant has something toxic in their environment, or if somebody is cutting near to it, it produces certain chemicals which senses it. You know this touch me not? Touch me not plants. If we touch immediately, yes. So they do not have nervous tissue, but they have some chemicals running around their body, which when we touch, they prevent themselves. In the same way, the carnivore plant, they have some chemicals running into them. The moment the insects or something comes and capture, for example, pitcher plant, it captures like this. When the moment it captures it, what it exactly does, it just takes the nutrients. Because that animal is going to be for a long time there. It has some sticky content or some capturing content. It is going to be into its liquid. And then this nutrients dissolve into its liquid and it is taken by the phloem. So it has a different system. For example, if we have mosquitoes, cockroach, they do not have a blood vessels. What they have? They have an open system. Fish, have you seen fish? Have you seen people cutting the fish? It has blood, but you cannot see vascular system into it. If you kill a mosquito, you see the blood. That is not its blood. That is our blood. Right? So they are white blood they contains. They do not have to have hemoglobin. Flies, they have white blood.
Mosquitoes also have white.
Yes.
It's everywhere.
Yes, yes. But then they drink only the female mosquitoes drink.
Why?
Because it needs the protein content in our blood for its eggshell. So males do not. So please don't kill males.
Can it not take the protein from somewhere else?
It feeds on the plants for the food system. Every mosquito feeds on the plants. Yes, but then they cannot have the protein from the outside. They have to depend on some animal for the protein system. So it either bites some dogs, cats or some cows, but their penetration is difficult because their skin is very thick from the human beings. So it's very easier to bite a human being and get the blood out of them. So that's the system in the animalia. Clear? So they have an open system, whereas the human being has a closed system of blood circulation, because our blood only flows in a circulatory system.
How many systems do we have?
Sorry?
How many systems do we have?
We have around 9 systems.
Circulation,
Circulatory, reproduction, excretory, digestive, respiratory, endocrine, nervous system, integumentary, then that is circulate, that comes under the circulatory system. Yeah, these are the main.
Okay.
Musculoskeletal system. Yeah. Clear? Yeah, so all together, when it works together, then only you will get a organism. So okay, so we will connect it with yoga. So what exactly happens when you perform yoga? What happens to the cellular level and the tissue level?
When you do yoga,
Yeah?
it transforms.
Exactly. Do you know what is cancer cells? Yes. Please explain what is cancer cells. Is it something called as cancer cells are like virus or bacteria which comes out from the outside? Like, viruses and bacteria are all over. So,
Cancer cell destroys health cells.
yeah. Good. So what are cancer cells? Yeah. How a human causes cancer. Yoga is very good for the cancer cells not to develop. You know it, right? So if anybody has cancer or everybody has cancer cells in their body. Everybody has cancer cells in the body. It only depends how your lifestyle is, how your environmental condition is, how your genetics is, whether you are going to trigger it or not. So yoga helps completely not to trigger it. So cancer cells are nothing but the cells grow without any conditions. It do not die. Our normal cells has a death time period. Like blood cells has like 120 days. Other cells has skin cells like 3 days. Every cells has their own time period to die. But cancer cells do not die. So our own cells keep on replication, multiplying, then do not know what to do with it, consuming the normal cells, energy into it and not functioning anything, makes bigger and bigger, consumes all the energy, kills the other organs and make the system destroy completely. That is cancer cells. Clear? So, why we are mentioning cancer cells here? How it is connected to the cells? Any cells which I mentioned just now, all of the cells can be a cancer cells. Any cells like blood cells multiply, it becomes cancer of the blood. Skin cells multiply, it becomes the cancer of the skin. If muscle cells divides, it becomes the cancer of muscles. Clear? So, how yoga is going to affect in the cellular level? So, when cells are affected, obviously tissues are affected, with that organs are affected and organisms dies. So, how yoga is going to help you in the cellular level?
I just can imagine that it helps for this reproducing. It all activates the mRNA, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, okay. Activates quite a lot of things, lot of functionings, which helps them not to make the cancer cells. Exactly. So, can you define what is cancer cells? What are cancer cells? What did you understand? What are cancer cells?
It's normal cells that become
Exactly. Very good. So, why it is becoming cancer cells? What is the difference between the normal cells and the cancer cells?
the normal cells are there and the cancer is their potential.
Are the
Potential
potential about what?
of them becoming cancer cells.
Okay. So, what is the difference is the normal cells has a time period. It will die after a certain time period. But cancer cells do not die after a certain time period. So, what happens when it do not die? It needs energy, right? So, it consumes energy from the normal cells. And normal cells do not get the normal energy. And it dies. And cancer cells, without having any functions, takes all the energy and multiplies. But what happens to the normal cells? Because it is dying, our body cannot function. And because of that, we die. Clear? Okay? Clear? And the cancer cells has a thing called as metastasis. What, for example, I have a cancer here or in my stomach. After a certain time period, when it stops getting the energy, it goes into the blood vessels, it circulates completely, it migrates from organ to organ, eats it up and goes to the brain. And finally, I'll die because of the brain cancer.
So why do we not apply like yoga therapies and all these good things for
Yeah,
cancer?
yeah.
It's just a bullshit. It's just
Why? The cancer cells has a genetic code for it. Everything has a genetic code. So, when the genetic code is read properly, then after a certain time period, it do not replicates. But if there is a problem with the genetic code, it keep on dividing. So, any life changes, anything which is happening in the environment, anything happening in the food habits, anything happening in anywhere is going to affect the gene. So, the gene is not having a proper way to maintain the cancer cells, which causes cancers. So, lifestyle modification when you do, like your food habits, maybe some chemicals from the environment you are getting, which is making the gene to manipulate. You have heard about this Japanese bomb blasting, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So, in that some radiation was the cause which manipulated a gene among them, and it was carried forward to generation. All the children born after that having carcinoma, they were carcinoma, right? You remember? Okay. For example, if mercury has the capacity to cause cancer, any pesticides which we eat from the plants, they can cause cancer. Any lifestyle like our circadian rhythm, our sleeping pattern, our food pattern, our anything, our lack of exercise manipulates the gene. It can cause cancer. So yoga is very good because the prana gets involved in it and it balances that gene. Clear? So there are a lot of research being done on different categories of patient having cancer cells. If you are interested, sometimes I can show you some research papers which is being carried out, and they have find out like there are a lot of gene changes in the cancer cells which causes the person to go back to the normal stage. The cells go back to the normal stage, not causing the cancer anymore. So cancer in the mass is called as tumor. Have you heard about this term called as tumor? Yeah, tumor. So wherever the cancer is, they are called as the particular place of that cancer. Any doubts you have? Any doubts? We are done for the day. So we are here now in the organs, right? Yeah.